Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to M1 Racing and our live coverage of the G-Force Racing League. My name is Mark, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour or so. And we do have the whole commentary team with us this week. Pete is back. He's in the background, monitoring the chat and keeping an eye on the racing we're not able to cover on the stream. And Rio is here with me as well. And we're going to do our best to guide you through all the action here for round 8 of the G-Force Racing League. So, hi Rio. Have you had a good week since we last met in Austin?
Had an amazing week, to be honest. It's been fun since Austin. I've been looking at the highlights from the last stream, and it's safe to say that was a pretty successful race.
It really was a good race. And it was almost, if you remember, almost impossible to know where to look next. I think it started with the sprint race and just kind of carried on from there. So we're hoping for something similar here today. If you want to keep us company, please do so using the chat. You'll need to follow us on Twitch with a verified email, but then you should be able to talk to us and let us know where are you watching from today, and more importantly, who do you think is going to win this round 8 of the G-Force Racing League. So we are here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. The drivers just starting to come out on their warm-up laps for their first qualifying laps. If you're new to the Singapore circuit, it is 19 corners, 4.9 kilometres long. There's 2 DRS zones, and unusually for a street circuit, there are quite a number of possible overtaking points. Turns 1, 5, 7, 14 and 16, but a high likelihood of some safety cars today with these walls coming at the drivers thick and fast. So it's going to be interesting to see how well our drivers do around this entertaining circuit under the lights here in Singapore. Rio, have you had a chance to drive around this track in the game, and if so, how do you find it? Is this an easy one for you or a tricky one?
I love Singapore. It's sort of in the middle between in between easy and hard, so it's kind of like, medium difficulty. But no, it's definitely one of the more difficult tracks for me, and I love it. It's just such a good track.
And I think it's been, we were talking off air, but I think it's been helped by the change of the layout. They've dropped some of the corners, and there's now essentially an extra straight, and I think that's helped with the racing. We saw it in the real world this year, and we're going to see our drivers taking advantage of that. And we do see some lap times being set. So SS7 getting in an early first qualifying lap of a 129.620. David T setting an early time of 130.209, Obo with a 130.770, and Wands with a time of 131.318. We're currently following Emeleki round as they're warming up for their opening race lap. And Rio, are you okay to do another hot lap with one of our drivers here?
Yeah, who are we doing?
We're going to be following on board with Emeleki, and they are just coming around to set up right about now.
Alright, so Singapore, going into the first corner, always catches people out there. Going into the third corner, aka what I like to call the back straight, since it's right behind the straight. Looks like he's backed off a bit. No, but going into the straight, flat round there, or for me at least. Open your DRS all the way down the straight until you get to the start of Memorial Corner. Going through there, don't want to go too heavy on the power because you'll spin the tyres. As with every corner in the circuit, it's very, very sensitive to go on the power.
And Rio, it does look as though Emeleki is perhaps backed out of that one. So they obviously weren't quite happy with how they took those first few corners. So we'll come away from Emeleki. And Pete is telling me that MVR is on a very quick lap here. Yeah, it's coming down this new part of the circuit, I think, here. So, oh no, this is in round turn 30. Yeah, coming up to turn 13 now. just over the bridge here, around to the sharp hairpin, round 13, and now we'll be accelerating down towards turn 14, hanging into the right, out over that big curve, but stay within track limits. It can easy for our drivers to get across that and go white line and go beyond track limits. Now this new section of the track down into turn 16, we no longer have to go underneath the bridge. Out 16, 17, going to go around 18 and 19. So MVR are about to set their first lap of a 128.342. It's really says wow. Yep, that's quick. So 6/10 faster than SHS and some distance from everyone else. So MVR proving themselves to be another one to beat. We do see a couple of drivers, Rio, out doing some laps on medium tyres. So we've seen that in previous ones. I think the driver's trying to get their eye in on some of these things. So, Rio, let's try and find another driver who is perhaps just about... Wands is out on an out lap here. So, we'll let Wands get round to the start-finish line for their flying lap. And Rio, we can have another go. And hopefully, Wands will keep it nice and aggressive as they head out on their fast lap here. I'm going to bring up the track map so we know what is going on. How far Wands has got to go at this particular point. Yeah, they're just coming back on the circuit yet, so we've got a bit of time yet before Wands will get round for their flying lap. Do you find, Rio, driving at night time is a disadvantage or an advantage in the game?
Probably an advantage because you can see a lot more, and it's easy on the eyes.
Yeah, it can help to kind of illuminate the track. I think it might get difficult if it rains because you get a lot more glare off the surface of the circuit. But right, looks as though we've got Wands coming around to start their flying lap. So, Rio, fingers crossed that Wands will keep it straight. Well, over to you, sir.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't back off like Emaleki did. Over to the back straight because it's behind the straight. Going into the actual straight, I don't like to lift off too much. I like to go on the very edge of spinning the tires. But down the straight, full throttle until I think around the 150 meter mark, or just after that, around Memorial Corner, and then we go into what I believe is Stamford. Don't go on the throttle too much because you'll spin the tires. And then going through, I'm pretty sure that is Singapore Sling right there. The famous Singapore Sling there for catching drivers out on the chicane. And then we go over the bridge into the hairpin. Once again, that catches a lot of drivers out. You see a lot of drivers going wide, and you see them spinning their tires and everything. And to the end of the back straight, we've got to watch out for those track limits. They are very, very greedy with those track limits, the dudes at Singapore. Coming over here, once again, another chicane likes to catch a lot of drivers out. Going around the back straight, this is where Lance Stroll crashed this year in his qualifying lap.
And a 1:30.5494 Wands, so I think an improvement for Wands on their previous time, by just under 0.8 of a second. So well done to Wands. Puts them in 7th place currently in qualifying. So we've got MVR leading the way with 7.5 minutes left of qualifying to go. MVR in front, SHS in 2nd place on the grid right now. SS7 in 3rd with a 1:29.620. Obo for AlphaTauri. Nice job from Obo in 4th. I think Obo's got some good vibes about Singapore. David T in 5th. Emeleki's in 6th currently. N1A is on another out lap, so we might join on board with M1A in a moment and see how they get on around this track. We've got ones with their 130.549, we've just seen. Hypno, currently with the 130.821. We've seen Hypno being very hard. As soon as I say that, Hypno comes over the line with a 129.702. We've seen Hypno just gradually improve over the first few races and actually get some really good scoring positions. So Hypno could be one to watch out for in the race today. Mr. Hannes down there currently in 10th, LLX1 in 11th, Tomo Pierce in 12th, and sadly we've already lost Ace Pilot. So they have set a time, but unfortunately they are out qualifying. So that will be no more laps for Ace Pilot until we get to the race itself. So N1A it has started their next qualifying lap here as we ride on forward with them out of 3. Down to turn 5. Over those curbs. Not too much curb here because that will throw you into the wall. And then we head out onto the first of many straights here. It's got a slight kink in it, but then we head down towards turn 7. Again, running out over those curbs as much as we dare. Round 8, tighter one. The walls come at you so quickly on the way out. Then down towards turn 9, and then we hit another straight, getting close to those walls as we dare. And as Rio's describing, the Singapore Sling, I don't think Raffles is nearby. Can certainly recommend a Singapore Sling if you get an opportunity to have one in Singapore. Best place to have them. Braking into the corner of 13, back on the power as quickly as we can, get that TRS open as we charge down towards turn 14. Back on the power again. We'll see the drivers drift out, but you see the track limits there is easy to get beyond that as a driver. Got to stay within that as we then head down towards turns 16 and 17. A little bit of curb on the inside of both of those corners. Run out towards that wall as close as we dare. Then we've got a slight lift into 18. Back full on the power. Straddle the curb as we come over the line. So N1A has moved up into 3rd. Great lap by M1A, 129.436, so congratulations to them. I'm sure Alfa Romeo will be delighted with that lap. We've got a couple of other drivers on out laps. We've also, Alex has just come over the line. So we've got Emma Leckie here, who has seemed to come and go in the last couple of races. They've certainly done well enough to score points for themselves. They haven't been quite as high up as I think they would hope for. But they've got some strong competition now, the likes of SHS and MVR. No Maxi today, who gave a lot of the field a run for their money last week. So Emma Leckie will be hoping to improve from their current 8th spot. I'm just keeping an eye on the forecast for qualifying. It is saying only a 5% chance of rain for qualifying. So it looks as though we are going to stay dry. The fastest lap in the real world during a race was Lewis Hamilton this year with a 1:35.867. Now obviously in qualifying our drivers are doing much faster times than that, but once we get in the race with the heavier fuel loads and as they have to go further into race, we won't be getting quite so faster times in race conditions, but our drivers setting some strong times here. So really, let's go on board with Emma Leckie as they head round on their next qualifying lap. 3 minutes left to go.
Yeah, Emma Leckie going around the straight now. I think Emma Leckie, as you said before, they come and go, but they still show their strength every single race, which is good. Coming around Memorial Corner, going down to Stamford. Very close to the wall, and don't take too much curb, otherwise you'll go straight into that wall.
Emma Leckie's purple in 6-1, Rio as well.
Oh, he is purple. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't see that, but yeah, it looks like he's doing a good job. He is a fast driver, and no. Yeah.
Did he catch the wall on the way in, or a bit too much curb? I think he caught the wall.
I think he took a bit too much curb.
Tough one for Emma Leckie. Sad for them in that respect. Whether or not they will go again, they won't have time to pit, change tyres and come back out. So it depends how much battery they have left, whether or not they might go again. But our drivers will be coming out now for pretty much the last shot at trying to move up the grid. MVR's got a 128.342. No one getting anywhere near to that at the moment. The only one really standing a chance at the moment looks a bit, though, it might be SHS. So I think we ought to keep an eye on them. We also see SS7 coming out again for their next and final qualifying lap. Remember that the drivers have to get over the start-finish line to start their last qualifying lap before the checkered flag comes out. So as long as they come over the line before then, their following lap will count. So drivers will leave it to the last minute, letting the track rubber in for all the other laps that have gone before them, hoping to get a bit more grip as they then go out for one last blast. We do see David T, I think, has just finished, so 129.628. They're currently in 5th place. Good to see David nice and high up the grid. Again, that wasn't such a strong race for them in Austin. MVR looks as though they've called it a day, Rio. They've retired from qualifying, so do you think they're really confident about that lap time?
Yeah, they're a lap time like that. They're definitely quite confident with the car, so we could see some good stuff from them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to do well just to get close to that, I think. But we will see. We will see. SS7 is out on their qualifying lap. I'm going to keep an eye on the timing screen here, folks. I think they are starting. And look as though they were down quite significantly in Sector 2 if my timing screen was correct. So maybe this one hasn't worked out for them and they're just getting in some lap times now. We will see. They're about equal, SS7, with their earlier time. So doesn't look as though they're improving. Emeleki moved up into 4th place. We should really ride on board though with SHS, who is the most likely to challenge MVR. We can see in the chat that MVR is very happy with their qualifying time, so well done to them. We've got a bit of traffic ahead of us for SHS that may also help give them a bit of a tow on some of the straighter parts of the circuit, but we don't want them to get in our way for sure, unless that car in front is also on a hot lap, which they may well be. So SHS powering forward here is slightly up in Sector 1. Green in Sector 1 but not purple, so they're improving on their own time but not yet closing down too much on MVR in front of them. We break into the hairpin, we get back on the power. There will be a nice slipstream from the car in front of us. SS7 has finished their qualifying with a 129.098, moving into 3rd place, so SS7 pretty happy with that, I expect, as SHS gets back on the power as we head down towards turn 16 and 17. We don't need to turn right here anymore till the end of this straight. A little bit of that curve on both sides, nice and close to the wall, back on the power, slight lift for the final corner, and we power over the finish line for a 128.915. So a very small improvement for SHS. They just 6 thousandths of a second up on their previous lap. Fortunately lost 1.5 tenths in that middle sector, but we're green in the other two. N1A is just coming round to finish, but looks as though they're going pretty slowly, and are indeed heading into the pits. So that concludes qualifying for round 8 here in Singapore. So we'll go through the final classification in just a moment. But a good performance here from N1A up there in 4th position on the grid. Who's impressed you from qualifying there, Rio?
Like you said before, M1A. I don't think I've seen them get up to 4th, but yeah, it's quite impressive to see them get quite close to SHS by about 400 tenths, and especially at Singapore, its track is quite, catches drivers out a lot and slows you down. But no, definitely good for them.
Yeah, very good performance. That's SS7 finishing their qualifying as well, and they finished in 3rd, so a good result for SS7, hoping to improve on previous performances. So classification from qualifying, MVR in as 1st spot, pole position on the grid for the start of the Singapore Grand Prix. SHS in 2nd. SS7 improving from previous weeks up into 3rd spot, and alongside them our choice from qualifying N1A for Alfa Romeo, so congratulations to them. Emma Leckie in 5th place for McLaren, and alongside them, David T for Haas. Hypno in 7th for Red Bull, and Obo in 8th for AlphaTauri. Then followed by Wands, L Alex 1, Domo Pierce, Mr. Hannes, and Ace Pilot for Williams. So congratulations to those drivers. We've got 13 on the grid. Now, we did think we might have 1 or 2 more, but I think around this really close circuit like Singapore, perhaps a few fewer drivers is not necessarily a bad thing. Rio, strategy-wise, what are you thinking for this race? Do you think our drivers are going to go on soft tyres, lots of grip early on, try and make up some positions, or just try and hold positions with perhaps mediums or even hards and go deep into the race? What do you think they might be considering?
I think they might be going deep into the race, as you said, because Singapore, I think it takes a lot of tire dig out of the tires, and it wears them quite a fair bit, as we've seen in the real world. But I think it might be a 2-stop. I think that will most likely be the better option, as the race is going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Rio. All right, folks, let's go racing. MVR leads us away. SHS looks to have had a decent start there, but SS7 has had an even better start, actually, and has got right past SHS. I wonder if they had a significant amount of wheel spin, but that has given SS7 the opportunity to move straight up into second place and has dropped SHS very quickly behind them. So looking promising for SS7, but MVR's made a very strong start. N1A in 4th, Emma Leckie in 5th as we come down to the early corners of this round 8 from Singapore of the G-Force Racing League. You'll see it very tight here for the drivers as they warm up these tyres, and as we were talking about tyres right at the very beginning, let's bring those up early doors so we can see what the drivers will be thinking. So Rio, do you think that tyre choice has impacted SHS and their start there, because SS7 got a right jump on them?
Yeah, I think SHS might be in the fight with SS7 because he's on hards and SS7 is on mediums, unless SS7's mediums do get down quite a lot, which will give him a good attacking point since he's got the longer lasting tyres, and they are around the same pace in driving, so you could see them battling out with each other in the later stages if they stay in this position.
And I think this is the battle for us to focus on right now in these early laps. So SS7 on these grippier, softer tyres, it's at least allowing them to keep in touch with MVR, who we know from previous weeks when they've been with us is super quick. Don't talk to them about the rain in Imola, but they love it when it's dry, that's for sure. And they're leading the way here as we've started lap 2 round Singapore, but they have pulled out such a huge gap, nearly 2 seconds already on the rest of the field. So MVR and SS7 leading away as they go around the back of the circuit here in Singapore. SS7 right up behind MVR, but we'll be intrigued to see how long those medium tyres will last, particularly when they're following close behind. That will increase the degradation on these medium tyres more than it will for the hard. So we'll be coming down here around to the hairpin of turn 13. DRS not yet activated. That will be activated probably at the end of this lap, and that's going to help SS7 potentially get past MVR, although they could quite easily stick there behind MVR for a little while, conserve those tyres and see them through further on into the race. Obviously, the longer they can hold on to these tyres, we don't know what's going to happen with safety cars and with the weather, and that could change a 1-stop into a 2-stop or even a 3-stop very quickly. So SS7 gambling on the medium tyres, a number of our drivers on hards, and we do see L Alex 1 and Mr. Hannes both on softs, so it'll be interesting to see how long they can go on those softs, Rio. What would you predict our first pit stops are going to be?
I think probably going to be since the first drivers to definitely be Alex1 and Stannis, because they're on the softs, and softs around this track are they get eaten away quite a fair bit, and we might see them pit around maybe lap 9 or 10 or 11, and they're probably going to go onto the hards, or they might go into the mediums if they want to challenge someone, but I think it's more likely for them to go onto the hards.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a 31 lap race, so our hard runners are certainly looking to go well beyond half distance, around lap 16 or 17 at the earliest, before they probably consider pitting, and then that will give them the option of either the medium or the soft to go onto. As Rio was describing, those soft tyres will not last as long. I'll be interested to see what is the best race tyre. We saw that the medium was the best race tyre, most definitely, in Austin. Looks as though there's Emeleki has just got past N1A there. So another battle of the medium and hard runners, and indeed there's a further battles. N1A under pressure now, even more by David T and Hypno behind them. DRS now enabled. That's allowing Hypno to get down the inside of the Haas as they come through turn 1 and 2. So place is being made up by Hypno there. Very good move by Hypno. And they're on the hard tyres. So David T not enjoying those mediums as much as they might like.
No.
So we are on lap 4 already. These laps flying by in the early stages. With battles at various places down the grid, and actually position switching. As we see, El Alex are damaged with, and that's taken El Alex out of the race. It looks like as their first safety car comes out, we came to El Alex sadly at just the wrong time for them, but coming together with, I think, the AlphaTauri, the Vobo. Rio, did you see that?
I don't think I saw, but I might have been Obo.
We've also lost Mr. Hannes as well, so not quite sure whether that was a coming together with the Haas rather than the AlphaTauri. So we have 2 early DNFs. El Alex 1 has left us early, and Mr. Hannes as well. So that's very unfortunate for them. But as we start, we're on lap 4. The safety car is out, and this will mean all the cars will bunch up once more. So that big gap that MVR and SS7 had stretched out, Rio, is going to close right up. Do you think an early pit stops at this stage is warranted, or we see drivers staying out?
SS7 is pitting right now, but I think most of the hard drivers will definitely stay out into the later races, latter stages of this race. And as we just saw with SS7, he's getting on new fresh medium tyres, so he's hopefully looking to get quite up close and maybe even overtake NVR. But that may be in the later stages because of how quick NVR is, but he will get up there.
Yeah, and I think MVR's missed that opportunity. I think they would have needed to have gone in earlier. So we saw 3 drivers taking advantage of the safety car to go in. I think SS7, Emeleki and Hypno all going in for, as you say, new medium tyres. Whilst that'll put them on the back of this pack of cars, it will give them that extra pace advantage, certainly over the hard runners who are staying out. So we'll watch with interest when the safety car gets underway. Obviously, the marshals will need to clear 2 cars from the track, both Mr. Hannes and El Alex 1. So we may have 1 or 2 more laps under the safety car here. Fastest lap so far is MVR with a 132.669, but SS7 was able to stick with them throughout the early stages of this race. This might also help our hard runners though, Rio, I guess to a certain degree, because it will take those hard tyres just that much further into the race, with softs at the very end being more realistic.
Yeah, I think the hards will go well, but they will eventually start to fall off. And if the drivers are up for the challenge, then they will go for the softs to undercut or overcut their rival or opponent.
And I do see in the Twitch chat that Obo's saying rain. Now, I don't know whether or not they're just pulling our leg, or that's actually what they've seen on their from their pit crew. Certainly, the forecast is changing on our screens minute by minute. So we started the race with very little chance of rain. We're now already up to 26%. Now that's still only 1 in 4, but it's going up now. Actually, every minute I speak. So I think rain is inbound, Rio, and that is really going to mix things up for our drivers. We don't know when it's going to come, but I think it might be quite imminent.
It will definitely. It might actually be a bit unexpected since it is Singapore. We know how. Well, I know how the climate is, and how everything is, but it will definitely be a bit unexpected. You'll see it go from 26% all the way up to like 70%, because that's Singapore. But no, definitely will be some rain in the later stages of the race.
It's definitely coming. We're now at 31%, so it's imminent within laps. So this is really going to put the cat amongst the pigeons, and we'll see. And it's going to test our drivers' skills right to the limit, particularly around this track in Singapore. Rio knows this part of the world very well, so he speaks from experience. When the rain comes down in Singapore, it really comes down. It's rarely a light shower. So
Yep.
Our drivers will need. Do you think many will go straight onto full wets, or will some brave it out on those intermediates?
I think they might brave it out, to be completely honest with you, because it will calm down, but not a lot. But you never know. I think they might actually go into the full wets.
Yeah, it's got. I think a pit stop here is around about 25 seconds, like they are in most circuits. But if you've got to do that twice, that's a whole bunch of time. You've got to be confident of making that up. Right, safety car is in this lap, so we're going to go green flag racing again on lap 7. MVR is going to lead them away as we are about to go back under full race conditions. So our driver's got to be careful. And MVR's gone. So SHS, hopefully on their toes, is going to go with them. And it looks as though they did get a good restart. N1A's dropped back a little bit from them, but David T looks to have stuck with M1A pretty well. Let's drop down to them as they go through turns 1, 2 and 3. And now our drivers further down the grid will be looking to make up places as quickly as they can on those newer medium tyres. SS7 already up a place into 7th. So it's working out for them already. We're at 38% chance of rain, folks. I feel like a weather forecaster now. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the clouds in the sky and on the forecast on our screen to see when that rain arrives. Just heading down a little bit further. The cars all obviously very close together after this safety car restart as SS7 is going down the inside of Tomo Pierce. Nice move by SS7 getting past the McLaren. So SS7 on a real charge here, looking to move up the field as quickly as they can, get past these hard runners. Are right behind Obo now as we are on first DRS zone. So DRS will not be activated yet after the safety car, so we'll be 2 laps I believe, but already SS7 motoring, Rio, on those medium tyres.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, it was a bit unexpected for me. Yeah, he got past those drivers with ease, which you rarely see. But I think he is quite furious and on the charge for NVR there, which we might see him get close to, because NVR's tires look like they're starting to drop off because they are quite they're getting old.
And they're certainly not pulling away from SHS as much as I thought that they would do. But SS7 is right on the back now of David T in the Haas, looking to go down the inside. Will be eventually come the outside of the next corner, and they are past already. So SS7 in a bit of a rocket ship right now, very close to that wall as they come out the corner, but on a mission here, and now hunting down N1A in the Alfa Romeo in front of them. Weather forecast says 51% chance of rain. That rain is going to be with us within a matter of laps. Pete, I don't know if you've got any more information for us on when roughly that rain is going to arrive from what you've seen, but it looks very, very imminent here. So SSF are making hay while they can.
In the rain, like I said before, it will just shoot up to a higher number, which it just did. There. So it will come earlier than you think. I could be overreacting, but it will definitely come earlier than you think.
Yeah, it's we're already up to 56%. So DRS is now enabled, and Emeleki has made good progress as well. So they've followed through on SS7. So they're following in their slipstream here as these new medium runners are making up time. Emeleki has picked up a 3-second penalty along the way, so SS7 doesn't have to consider that too much of a risk right now, but they are looking to get past M1A, which is not proving easier for them, but there they make a very clean move past M1A and will now be up on SHS. So N1A taking advantage of the slipstream of SS7, but SS7 closing down on SHS. MVR having pulled out a 2.5 second gap on SHS, so they've disappeared out of DRS range, but SS7 is very much in that DRS range as it's now been activated. We're on lap 9 of round 8 of the G-Force Racing League from here at the Marina Bay circuit in Singapore, under the lights, anticipating rain. 65% chance as we see Emeleki getting past, or looking to try and get past M1A. They get really close, wheel to wheel on the outside of the corner. Emeleki has made it stick. Very clean but close driving by these two. A cracking move there by Emeleki, Rio.
Yeah, Emeleki nearly got pushed into the wall there. Well, I wouldn't say pushed, but he got very, very close to that wall when entering the end of the straight.
M1A definitely gave them just enough space, so very good driving, very precise driving by both drivers there around this track, where one mistake, as we've seen earlier, one small mistake can result in the end of your race. So SHS under significant pressure now from SS7, with Emeleki right behind them. So SHS really looking to hold on to those hard tyres as much as they can. Peter's telling me rain could be any lap now. We're at 70% chance of rain. So the tension building as the drivers will then need to consider when do they come in. There's no question they'll need to change tyres. It's when do they change tyres and which tyres do they go in on. These medium tyres will be slightly more sticky even when the rain is starting to come down. But remember, we're on a street circuit here, so this isn't the regular tarmac that you get round a race circuit. This is where we've got all sorts of cars, regular cars running on them. It handles the water in a very different way. This surface becomes very slippery very quickly. As we see SS7 trying to find a way past SHS, trying to tighter line out that corner. Looks as though we will now have a run on SHS down to the inside of turn 16. SHS not making it easy for them. Both of them probably on the ERS, but SHS gives that up to SS7. So SS7 moves up into second place, and now SHS will be under pressure from the fast charging Emeleki as well, as they now start lap 11 with the rain looking like moments away. Further on down the grid, we have been focusing on this battle at the front, I think rightly so, as Emeleki now looking to make their move past SHS. We've got N1A in 5th, Hypno in 6th, David T in 7th, Domo Pierce in 8th, Obo in 9th, Wands in 10th, and Ace Pilot down there in 11th, but still going. So Williams looking to collect some points, but it's all happening here in 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with Emeleki now looking to try and make a move on SHS and get past them. Oh, it looks as though they had a snap of oversteer on the way out of that last corner, which has unfortunately disadvantaged them trying to get past as we head over the bridge and into the hairpin of turn 13. Oh, Emeleki's got real problems there, Rio. Did you see that? Seems to lose grip once again.
I saw that. Yeah, I think he just turned in a bit too hard on the bridge, or it could have just been also grip. It could be either one of those two. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that's a couple of times we've seen them struggling with grip on this circuit. I don't know whether or not that's because the rain is perhaps either just in the air, the track is starting to get a little bit moist. Pete is telling me the temperature has dropped significantly from what it was. It's I think the air temperature is 24 degrees. So for those of you that know Singapore, it's usually much warmer than that, even at night time. So there will not be as much grip for these runners as they were used to at the start of the race, and perhaps Emma Leckie starting to feel that. But looks as though they've got their rhythm back now, and he's right behind SHS and trying to make a move past them. It's very close between these two. Emma Leckie going down the inside. SHS trying to hold on to it ever so close as they go wheel to wheel. SHS out of ERS. Their red lights flashing on the back of their car. And Emma Leckie has made it past Rio. Another good move by Emma Leckie.
Yeah, Emma Leckie, that was a very good move. They got very, very close in just coming out of Memorial Corner and Stamford. But no, very good racing by these two. And Emma Leckie, with that, he does have a penalty, unfortunately. So I think we could possibly see SHS getting ahead of him when the race finishes.
Yeah, that's right. And I think SS7 might even consider letting Emma Leckie pass and just follow them. Because they don't necessarily need to fight that 3 seconds. If Emma Leckie's going fast enough, perhaps the two of them might work together to get up onto the back of MVR. But MVR, once again, with these battles going on behind them, has taken advantage of that and stretched out their lead at the front to just under 5.5 seconds. So, as Emma Leckie's wide again, Rio, at that last corner. Perhaps they're just running very, very little downforce here.
I think I'm not sure, but they might be running very little downforce, like you said before, or he could have just taken too much curb. But either way, we could see him spin in the latter stages of the race.
Yeah, that's a risk, particularly if we are going to get rain here. That's going to Emma Leckie's going to they're going to show us their real driving ability. I think we know Emma Leckie's good though, so. I think we believe in them, but it's going to be tough if they have got that particularly loose end. Did see that actually in Canada. Emma Leckie did seem to run quite a loose rear end of their car. Perhaps that's their preferred driving style, and it's working for them here for sure. They're certainly staying very close with SS7 and these two in front, pulling out a gap now on SHS. SHS has dropped out of DRS. We've got Hypno, who has moved up into 5th place here and has got past N1A. David T is some distance back from them here, and I don't like the fact that this view goes to the rear of the car. I'd like to see the front of it or the outside. Thank you, Gabe. Okay, so we've got Domo Pierce here in 8th place, so 2 seconds back, but still going on those same hard tyres they were on at the very start of the race. So they're sticking to their plan. Go as far into the race as they can. We're not halfway through yet, folks. We're only on lap 14 out of 31. So these hard runners sticking to their one stop plan. Obo also down here in 9th, but Wands is in close contention with Obo, only a second back from the AlphaTauri. So Wands going well here, and will be looking to pick up some more points to support their teammate SHS. And last but by no means least, Ace Pilot here has made a pit stop, is onto those medium tyres, perhaps struggling a little bit over those curbs, but they are still going here for Williams in 11th. So back up to the front, MVR setting the standard for everyone else, but Emma Leckie, I'm sorry folks I missed that, has got past SS7. So whether that was strategic by SS7 or genuinely a move by Emma Leckie, stop moving up the grid, we will find out later perhaps, but it has moved Emma Leckie up into 2nd place, and we'll keep an eye on that 6-second gap to MVR to see if that will now come down. Those hard tyres for MVR, Rio, very old, but we don't really know how far these mediums will go.
Yeah, that That is true. I think SS7 is starting to his medium tires are starting to fall off because he did push quite a fair bit when he was trying to catch up to NVR, and I think it may have worked. He's got quite far up, and he's currently in the battle with Emeleki, but yeah, I think they are starting to come to an end. He might go for the two-stop on the. He might either go to the mediums or he will go to the hards, most likely hards.
Yeah, and a report from the pit lane via our roving reporter Pete is that it is raining. The rain is starting to come down, so we might start seeing it on the camera very, very shortly, and that's gonna. Oh, we see N1A and David T have pitted for intermediate tyres already. Rio and Obo and Wands. That's an early call. Do you think that's the right one?
Yep, it doesn't look to be raining too hard, but yeah, intermediate tires will definitely be the choice to go, and might want to keep a close eye on the top four, also top five, and see if they can get through. Which I'm sure they will. They're all very good drivers, but it can catch you out very unexpectedly.
And we do see, well, DRS has been disabled by race control. That's no great surprise given the rain has come down. We see Emeleki sliding all over the place. SS7 probably think better of perhaps making a move in these conditions. Very easy to put a foot on. They did slightly touch going into that corner there. This braking is going to get incredibly difficult. We can see that rain on our screens, folks, so we can see a rush into the pits. For those that pitted early, that will help their teammates in front. So Wands has got out of the way of SHS. As we see, the Williams of Ace Pilot really struggling now. We'll see a dash for all these drivers into the pits. MVR has also gone in already. SS7 coming in, as is SHS. So they're all queuing up now into the pits. Nobody picking up a speeding penalty into the pit lane, which is good news for them. Hopefully no one's going to be stacking here. Domo Pierce hopefully far enough back that they won't get stuck behind their teammate Emeleki. But we see the cars come out now. Now, has there been a change in positions in the pit, Rio?
No, probably because they all came in at the same time, but yeah, I think they might start being a bit cheeky and undercut, overtake others while in the pit lane.
We had a yellow flag in sector 1, which was MVR. So MVR has had a moment. We don't know exactly what it was. They're 11 seconds clear. They went on to intermediate tyres, but there was a yellow flag for them. So whether or not that was just a spin, or whether or not they've picked up damage, but they definitely caused a yellow flag. We have had some changes as a result of the pit stop. So SHS is still in second. It's moved up into second. Emeleki was there when they all came into the pits. N1A is now in third. Hypno in fourth. And Emeleki and SS7 have both dropped back into fifth and sixth. So whether it was a miscommunication in the pits, perhaps a mistimed entry, but that's very unfortunate. As we see, I think that was N1A going very wide on those new intermediate tyres. And Pete rightly pointed out that Domo Pierce has gone straight onto full wets. Now, for Domo, that could be a genius move. Those they'll need a lot of rain to come down. But it does look, Rio, as it's getting heavier and heavier. That could work out really well for Domo.
I think Domo might have gone on to the smart move there. Definitely a good choice, because it does look. I was just on the on the camera looking out over the whole circuit for a second, and the rain was getting very heavy, mainly on the main straight just before Memorial Corner or turn 9.
And Pete's telling me that Domo is actually doing faster laps than everyone. So that's really going to mix things up. Our drivers in front of them have got a decision to make. Do they stay on these intermediate tyres and hope the rain doesn't get any worse? And what we're looking for, folks, is if there puddles of water start forming on the surface of the track. If they do, these intermediate tyres will just not clear enough of that standing water, and you'll start seeing them aquaplaning and really struggling for grip. Whereas those on the medium tyres, it will allow them to cut through that standing water a lot more easily, and it will give them an awful lot more pace. So we will watch Domo Pierce's progress with great interest. We very much hope they keep it nice and neat and on track, and they could be in for a quite significant result. Ace Pilot has done the same. They've gone on to full wets, so those later stoppers may get the advantage of going straight onto those wet tyres so very early on. SHS not closing down. MVR, we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. That's the Williams of Ace Pilot, so struggling to get those wet tyres up to temperature. MVR pulling away from SHS as they start lap 17, so we're just over halfway in the race as the rain has now started to come down, and we'll see how good these drivers really are. We're following N1A here as they are trying to either stay with it or get past them within 1 second, but we have no DRS now, so the rain is too heavy. Race control not happy to have DRS enabled, and you can see how much they have to slow down here, Rio. What's your secret for driving in the wet? How do you approach it?
Driving in the wet for me, honestly, just go hard but not too hard, because you will spin. You don't realize how easy it is to spin in the rain unless you get up there.
We've got Emma Leckie and M1A battling out here. It's going to get tight as the wet they touch going in. I think that was turn 7 or 8. That was really tight from the two of them. They look as though they've come out unscathed from that, but it's an aggressive move on this wet track from Emma Leckie, but they're both still going here. As Emma Leckie takes a big chunk of curb going through there as we head over the bridge in just a moment. It gets really slippery on the track over the bridge here, and we're braking and turning at the same time, trying to get these cars stopped in these increasingly wet conditions. Water, no standing water we're seeing at the moment, so these intermediates just about hanging on. Emma Leckie trying to find a way past. Perhaps the switchback is on, as Emma Leckie's got that loose rear end. Trying to get the power down, incredibly difficult. We stay on board as we're now trying to get past M1A, not giving them any room. Emma Leckie trying to get round the outside of 16, not making it stick there. So will they be able to do it? Good exit as they head into turns 18 and 19. Emma Leckie is past M1A, moves up into 4th spot, but goes wide, and maybe they hit the wall there. They went very, very wide, Emma Leckie, but they are still in front of N1A as they've started lap 19. This rain, Rio, definitely looks as though it's getting harder.
Yeah, I can see. I can see it on the TV screen. It is getting very heavy. I know I always see it is getting very heavy, but it is. Singapore is one for quite heavy rain like this, and you never know, and until you actually see what it does to affect the drivers.
Yeah, we don't see Domo Pierce really closing down that gap as much as we thought they may on Wands. Now, Wands is getting a bit of slipstream from Obo in front of them. We'll drop down to Wands and Obo here. See it as the gaps at the front are spreading out a little bit more. So Wands and Obo have been pretty close together most of the race. We've got a yellow flag briefly, I think, in sector 2, so that's cleared already. That's good. Hypno's picked up a 3-second time penalty. We may see a few more of those as we get into the latter stages of this race, as this track remains increasingly slippery and drivers pushing as hard as they can to make progress up the field. But one's not yet able to get past Obo, but certainly able to follow close behind them. But no, Domo not unfortunately making as much progress. So maybe the rain isn't quite hard enough yet, but clearly a very slippery track. We go back up to SS7. They are close behind M1A. M1A doesn't look as though they're having a great time of it now. I don't know if that's as a result of the contact with Emma Leckie earlier on, but they have dropped back from Emma Leckie and into the clutches of SS7. Would love to know what happened at that pit stop, Rio, but it was the Emma Leckie SS7 show, and now they've dropped back down the field.
Yeah, SS7. I think he might be doing the undercut or overcut. I can't remember which one it was, but they might be doing that on Emeleki because he seems, from what I could see, it looks like he might be lapping faster than Emeleki because he is right on the tail of anyone, and he has remained for that for quite a while. But yeah, we could actually see them be making another pit stop if that rain gets even heavier to the point where even the intermediates can't handle it.
We got another yellow flag in sector 2 very briefly. That was Ace Pilot again. I think they're really struggling now just to keep the car on the track, sadly for them. They are still going though. I wonder how many front wings they have in the garage with them today, but they might be needing all of them. As we've got SS7 sticking very closely with N1A, but Emeleki has now pulled out quite a significant gap on the two of those drivers. So that 3-second penalty for Emeleki will play less of a role towards the end of this race. We still do have 10 laps to go, folks, so we're 2/3 of the way through. The rain does well as SS7 loses it on the way out of the very last corner. Hopefully they caught it before they came up against the wall, but SS7 really struggling now, and maybe that's a sign, Rio, that full wet tyres may be the way to go.
Full wet tyres, I think it is. There's only one option now. Yeah, that was very highly unexpected, and I think SS7 might be pitting to go on the wet tyres because it looks like it's got even heavier than last time.
That's what it's showing on my forecast. Very heavy rain for the foreseeable future, so this could be through to the end of the race. We do see a 3-second time penalty for David T. MVR well out front at the moment, 16 seconds clear of SHS. So what that shows us is that they're good in the dry and they're good in the wet. Just that one mistake at Imola cost them that victory. But that, to give them some credit, they were on hard tyres at that point in time, very old hard tyres. So rather unfortunate, but they are showing their class here once again. 16 seconds clear of SHS. But as we saw from SS7, it's so easy to make the smallest of mistakes, and you're heading off into one of the barriers, and that can be the end of your race. Wons and Obo still trading blows here. Wons not yet able to get past as we get the helicopter view as they come around that really tight hairpin at 13. Looking to get back on the power, and you've got to use the pace of the car, your setup, and the ERS to get past, because you can't use DRS now as that has been disabled. So Wons has got to find a way past somehow from Obo, but very close between these two on lap 22. MVR's just started that of the G-Force Racing League from here in Singapore. Pete has pointed out that he's starting to see standing water on the track, and as Rio was suggesting, I think wets are really the only option for most of our drivers. Now, there's some real quality out there who might be thinking they'll chance their arm, that they're good enough to keep it between the white lines and out of the walls. We shall see, but for some of them it may be necessary to get on those wets just to make sure that they finish. This is the closest battle on track, folks. One's for Aston Martin and Obo for AlphaTauri for 7th and 8th place. The cars above have started to spread out a little bit as the nature of the weather, as we see the puddles on the side of the track. One's looking to go down the inside here. Have they made that stick, or have they gone too deep? So Obo will come back in front of them as Wands tried too hard in that corner, misjudged their braking. Rio, that's so easy to do in the wet.
Yeah, it is extremely easy because you do have to brake a lot earlier, and I think Wands braked very late going into Memorial, and it's Singapore, so yeah, that just adds on.
So this battle ever so close between these two, but looks very nice and clean from these. And these drivers are going to pick up some significant points. Moving up even just one place has a big difference. to where our teams are going to finish at the end of the season, and indeed where each of them individually as drivers are going to finish, as well as we see Obo really struggling for grip. That really is going to give Wands an opportunity, as they will now have the inside, I think, for 16 here. But Obo holding on to it. They're very close together, standing side by side, the two of them. Will Wands be able to hang on to the outside? No, they think better of it into 18. Very close driving by these two. But Obo now has the same problem as SS7 and looks to be heading straight for the wall, as Wands done enough to get past here. Looks as though they've gone beyond track limits for Wands, so we'll see if that gets reported at the end. But Obo's so tough for them to hold on to it in the track. They clearly struggle, but now Wands has indeed given them that place back. So very considerate driving from Wands, recognising Rio. That's quite good to see, isn't it, from Wands? They recognised they went beyond track limits and gave the position back.
Yeah. Very good racing from for Wands. Good to see that he did give the position back. But Wands, not Wands, Obo getting very, very squirrely. A lot worse than SS7 was before.
These two are not giving it up. I'm seeing in the chat that MVR may have lost connection. So hopefully one of our drivers, there we see MVR is back in the game, so that's good. Sadly, that's always the risk with internet-based gaming. We're so dependent on those connections remaining stable. Emeleki has come into the pit, so I wonder if they are just going on to new intermediates, or they're going to go on to wets. As this one's Obo battle is ever so close, Rio. I think they both going to be reporting each other to the FIA at the end.
I think so, yeah. Obo, I think, might already have someone already reported them to the FIA. Yeah, well, we see Obo heading into pits there. So I think seeing that they were really struggling, maybe they will go onto some wet tyres or some new intermediate. So that promotes Wands up into 8th place. Personally, I was quite enjoying that battle, and it was good racing on the large part between both of them. And I respect Wands for recognising they overtook whilst leaving track limits. So very aware driving by those drivers. Obo has gone on to new intermediate, so perhaps looking just to get some more grip. Let's bring up penalties, Rio, so we can take a look at those. We can see that Hypno's got 3 seconds, so N1A will hopefully close that up if they want to take 3rd place from M1A. N1A is 8 seconds back from Hypno, so M1A has got to make up 5.5 seconds. SS7 in 5th. We've got another yellow flag in sector 2, so that's Ace Pilot again, facing the wrong way, but they're back up and running. The David T with 3 seconds. Emeleki, as we're going to drop down briefly while running these through, we've got Obo on the back of Domo Pierce now, looking to move up into 9th place and got a lot more grip on those new intermediate tyres, as Obo is making it through into turn 10, so Obo up into 9th place. But Emeleki there has got 9-second penalty, Rio. That's going to, at the moment, that's looking good for Wands, almost, if they can close that gap up and on Emeleki. Yeah, I thought it was only a small penalty. I didn't expect it to be 9 seconds, but yeah, Wands will definitely have the advantage there. If he can close the gap, which looks like he already's done. Wow. I think he might have gone to the pit or something, because it's just updated. It's gone to 11 seconds now instead of 33.
Pete is telling me that Emeleki is very quick right now. We did see them go beyond track limits one more time. They haven't picked up a penalty. They're coming into the pits again. I wonder if they picked up some damage. Oh no, that was Domo Pierce we saw going wide. Apologies, getting my McLarens mixed up there. So Emeleki is quick right now, but that huge penalty is gonna really hurt them at the end. The gap from between MVR and SHS has come down. It's 12.5 seconds. That could well be due to MVR losing their connection. So we'll keep an eye on whether or not that increases. But actually, I'm seeing Hypno has got that gap to SHS down now to 3 seconds. So possibly Hypno starting to get at home now here in Singapore on this wet track, but doesn't appear to be raining quite as hard. Well, as we come to that camera shot, and the rain is absolutely teeming down. So no, it's still raining quite heavily, and we do see the standing water on the track. So our drivers all on intermediates doing well, actually, Rio, to keep going on these intermediate tyres on a very wet, slippery track.
Yeah, it has gone a bit lighter than before. I've noticed that, and we might. Yeah, I just saw Emeleki was getting very squirrely out of that corner, and also out of the final corner, which could mean something, or it just could mean that
we've got a yellow flag
pushing.
in sector 2. And it was. Now Peter's saying it was a Ferrari. Now, yes, indeed, MVR has suddenly lost 6 seconds to SHS.
Ooh.
And have they got damage? Rio, this will put. They indeed. Can you see that real front wing damage?
Yeah. That bit on the front wing. Yeah.
So is MVR? Is rain going to be MVR's nemesis once again?
I think so, yeah. He doesn't look to be pitting for repairs, as he goes very wide again and again. Or I think he might be. Or I think Domo. Oh, sorry, not Domo. SHS might catch up to him very quickly.
With this front damage, is in these kind of conditions, I'd say in the dry, I'd give MVR a fighting chance, but. This is going to put them under all sorts of pressure. We've got 5 laps left of round 8 of the G-Force Racing League from here in Singapore. MVR, as you can see, is basically going to be unlapped here by Domo Pierce. So that's how slow MVR is having to go. And MVR is going beyond track limits on a number of occasions here. So SHS has made up a second, I think, in just the last few corners. As Rio, has MVR got to give this up and go and change that front wing, or is that just going to cost them too much time now?
I think if I was him, to be honest, I'd just pit because it is making him very squirrely, and it's also making him go very wide in the corners. So I would just pit because there's more chance of, in my point of view, there's more chance of him spinning and or hitting the wall than he's actually left.
I wonder if just MVR has had some connection problems today, and that may have contributed. They are asking for another invite again, so I'm hoping one of our drivers will be able to let them back in. But certainly that gap now to SHS is down to under 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, as MVR is coming in to the pits. I don't know whether or not that's computer controlled or that's MVR's own decision, but they are in. So that's promoting SHS into first place. Hypno is into second. MVR currently in third, but in the pits. N1A is currently in fourth, but is likely until he does move past them into third. I think MVR very frustrated, understandably, by the connection issues today with the game, and that's unfortunate for them, but they are slipping down the order. SS7 moving up now into fourth, as we see MVR will slip down. So we'll see if this is going to help Hypno. Hypno does have a 3-second penalty, so SHS will not necessarily need to fight Hypno. But Rio, have you been impressed with Hypno today? They had a good qualifying, and now they seem to be hunting down SHS as well.
Yeah, Hypno, we weren't really on him much, but yeah, he's doing a brilliant job. And if he can catch up to SHS and maybe pass him, which will be a bit unlikely because we do have only like around about 4 laps to go. But no, they're very, very good for them, and I think it might be his first podium of the season because he will probably stay in second because M1A is about 11 seconds behind.
Fastest man on track right now, fastest driver on track right now, I should say, is Emeleki with a 1:46.297. That's 2.5 seconds faster than the likes of SHS Hypno and N1A. So with that kind of speed advantage, we shouldn't count Emeleki out of anything at all. And indeed, they are closing down on SS7 now. So it could be another SS7 Emeleki battle as SS7 gets a 3-second time penalty. So, well, actually, we have to remember, Rio, don't we? Emeleki has got a plethora of penalties, I think. So let's just have a quick check. Yeah, okay. So 9 seconds for Emeleki. SS7 will see that on their dash, so they will know that they don't necessarily have to fight that, and can probably let it. Well, we see SS7 so wild again out of that last corner, Rio.
Yeah, I'm loving this because it's so entertaining. But SS7, yeah.
Both drivers at it now, and well, hopefully these both keep it on track as Emeleki does look to go down the inside of SS7, but doesn't make that one stick. Let's ride on board with Emeleki, and we'll see if they maybe make a move. I don't know. I know SS7 and Emeleki are both racers. They'll be racing for position here, regardless of penalties. But Emeleki made a lovely move on SS7 there, and they have moved up into 4th place on the track at least. But we'll need to get 6 seconds clear of SS7 in order to retain that 4th place come the checkered flag. So well done to Emeleki. That's a good move on SS7, and they continue to move forward. We don't really have too many other close battles on track other than returning to the top of the running order here. Hypno continuing to get ever closer to SHS. That was 3 seconds a few moments ago. Rio looks like will be closer to 2 seconds, under 2 seconds now. I wonder if SHS has had a moment. They seem to be dropping time all the time.
SHS, I can see that. Yeah, I think Hypno might have a chance at passing him, but he will still might jump down to second. But it's good for the challenge. I think they both have equal tires, so they might both have a moment at one point.
So Hypno definitely has a lot more pace right now than SHS. They basically lost 2 seconds in that last lap alone. Whether or not they had a brief spin or a brief moment, as we've seen many of our drivers have today, but Hypno looks on for getting past. Now they've got to get 3 seconds ahead, of course. They do have that penalty, so they're not going to necessarily finish in second. MVR, we see, has rejoined. It's good that they at least have come back to us to pick up some further points for them and Ferrari, but they'll be ruining rain and they'll be ruining the EA servers, sadly, today. And so should we. They were doing so well as they were before, but that's going to keep the championship certainly interesting. We've got 1.5 laps left to go, folks, of round 8 of the GeForce Racing League here in Singapore. And we've got Hypno with perhaps a potentially better exit. You can see those wheels really struggling to get grip, particularly on these very old intermediate tyres now. Ace Pilot has sadly spun in front of them. Hopefully not too much of distraction. Looks as though they are through that very quickly. That's good. So Hypno's sticking with SHS, and we're going to stay with this group as we come to start the very last lap of the Singapore Grand Prix for the GeForce Racing League. This league always giving us entertaining racing week on week, and that's happened right since the very first race, our pre-season in Spain. So if you're joining us for the first time on M1 Racing, remember to come back and see us next week, because you do get great racing like this every single week on the GeForce Racing League. We've started the last lap 31 of the Singapore Grand Prix. Hypno looking to get past SHS on the track. they'll be wishing those 3 seconds away, or hoping that they put enough pressure on SHS that they also pick up 3 seconds, Rio. That's also a possibility here.
Yeah, it is. As Hypno's just got past them now, and we're gonna see shortly how much time he can put on him, because I'm sure he'll be all pumped and ready to put the 3 seconds on SHS. It will be very close, but SHS is a very, very quick driver. We might see Hypno end up in second, which is very unfortunate for him because he was doing a great job.
Yeah, we do see N1A, shout out for them as well, because they're currently circulating in third, so they're going to get the third place on the podium with no penalties at all. So N1A has done a very good job for Alfa Romeo there, but Hypno is first on the track as we come round the final corners of the G-Force Racing League from here in Singapore. SHS has stuck with them, so I think they've decided we can let Hypno go. We can let them go over the line first, because SHS knows, barring any last-minute error, that they're going to take victory here in Singapore. We're going to go around the final 2 corners here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Hypno is going to lead us over the line, first on the track, but SHS will take victory for the G-Force Racing League from round 8 in Singapore. Congratulations to them. Hypno will take second place on the podium. N1A comes home in third for Alfa Romeo. Emeleki very close behind them initially, but MVR has made up huge numbers of places in those final laps and has taken 4th place. Perhaps small consolation for them, but a great recovery after what was a really challenging moment towards the end of that race. MVR comes in 4th. Emeleki goes into 5th with their numerous penalties. SS7 was looking strong earlier on in the race when it was dry, but wasn't to be for them. They come home in 6th. David T has finished there in 7th. Congratulations, David. 7th place for them and Haas. Wands is our next driver to come over the line for Aston Martin. More good points for Aston Martin today. That's going to help him out significantly in the Constructors' Championship. Congratulations, Wands. Obo is going to come over the line in 9th, having had quite some battles with Wands during the race. Domo Pierce is going to come over in 10th spot for McLaren. Some way back, but still going, and that's the point here. If you can keep going with everything else that goes on in the race, your team can pick up points, and you as a driver can pick up points. So Domo Pierce coming over the line very shortly in 6th. An Ace Pilot will have already finished having been lapped. So our last driver over the line, Domo Pierce for McLaren. Rio, another great race. Got to ask you, didn't give you any pre-warning this week, but you know the question is coming. The game has given driver of day to Hypno. That's not a bad shout. Who are you going to pick?
I Hypno again, because he did a very, very good job towards the end, pressuring SHS. Very unfortunate with the penalty though, but he's done an amazing job to even end up in second.
That's. I think Hypno's going to be my driver of the day, Rio. I think you've got consensus in the commentary box here. Otherwise, but I also need to check with Pete. Pete, whisper in my ear who your driver of the day would be. So Peter's gone for MVRJ Repo, and I suspect perhaps a small sympathy vote, but also MVR was just so much quicker than everyone else for a large portion of that race, but they did come home in 4th. So 2 drivers of the day from the commentary box were Hypno and MVR, so congratulations to them. Here's our final classifications. So SHS comes home to take victory for Aston Martin. Hypno in 2nd for Red Bull. Great result for them and for Red Bull. Alfa Romeo and N1A come in 3rd. NVR in 4th for Ferrari. Emeleki in 5th for McLaren. SS7 in 6th for Mercedes. David T in 7th for Haas. Wands in 8th for Aston Martin. Obo in 9th for AlphaTauri. Domo Pierce in 10th for McLaren. And Ace Pilot, the last of our finishers, for Williams in 11th. And our DNFs, sadly, Mr. Hannes and L Alex1, who we lost very early on in the race. Well, what a great race, Rio. Any particular standout moments for you from that one?
Probably gonna be SS7 spinning and then saving it again. That was very, very entertaining, I should say. But he did an amazing job, and yeah.
Yeah, there was so much there. We thought we did have some last lap drama again with MVR. We had SS7, Emeleki, and a few other drivers almost looking as though they're going to head straight into the start finish or the wall on the start finish straight. We did have sadly some accidents and some DNFs today, but the addition of the rain always adds some excitement to the racing. So that concludes our live racing for today. We haven't finished obviously the league just yet. I'm just going to check exactly where we are next week. So for round 10, we are going to be back in Barcelona in Spain for which was the scene of the pre-season race where we had some really good racing there. So looking forward to going back to Spain, Barcelona next week. We've got Suzuka after that in Japan. Then one of my favourite tracks, Interlagos in Brazil, is the penultimate race. That's also going to be a sprint race in Brazil. And then our grand finale is going to be Yas Marina, Abu Dhabi for round 12 and the finale of the G-Force Racing League just before Christmas. So you want to stick with us over the coming weeks for those races. So Barcelona next week, Rio. Any of those races take your fancy?
In the coming races, yeah, definitely Barcelona and Suzuka, because they're both very good circuits, and we could see a lot of carnage, I should say, out in those two circuits, because they are very, very well made, and they do spin out a lot of drivers.
They're certainly a challenge for our drivers, and it's going to be good watching folks. So do come and join us for those. So a reminder, M1 Racing is live 8 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. We'll be better prepared next week for a rundown of the actual current driver standings and constructor standings rather than missing one race. So I'll get that right for next week. My apologies for that, but we will take a look at that at the start of next week's stream. And all I want to do now is just thank you guys for watching, spending a bit of your Wednesday with us once again. To all of our drivers for giving us just a fantastic race as always, and incredible entertainment. To Rio, have you had another good time with us today?
Yep, best time up here in the commentary box and watching down on that amazing race.
Well, it's great to have you with us, and hopefully you'll be back next week. And Pete, my thanks to you as always for your support in the commentary box, and again to you all for watching. We will see you next week in Barcelona in Spain for round 9 of the G-Force Racing League. Until then, have a safe week, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.